Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I am the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 38th year, and we have some amazing films this year. I'm so incredibly proud of our lineup. One of the films we all love very much is Sane Inside Insanity, the phenomenon of Rocky Horror, which looks at the secret behind the success of Rocky Horror, its longevity, and how it has just become such a sensation. The director of this documentary is Andreas Zerr. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You've been working, we were just talking earlier, you've been working on this for 11 years.
Yes, yes. We started off in 2014, and the original idea was not a full-blown, full-length documentary like it is now.
Yeah.
The original idea was more to make a, small feature, late making of,
Yeah.
just to talk to people involved and fly to Windsor to watch where they filmed it and stuff. But the digger we dug into the history of Rocky Horror and the digger we dug into also the presence of Rocky Horror, the more interesting it became. And so we decided this is a very, very good story, and the story is worth to tell.
Exactly. So, I mean, what was your first experience, seeing Rocky Horror? Was it stage? Was it the film? What was your first experience?
Oh, my very first experience was a third or fourth generation VHS copy of it back
Okay.
in like in the mid 80s. I have to admit I'm not a big fan of Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
I never was. It never spoke to me like it speaks to so many other people. I kind of enjoyed it. It was entertainment, and I liked the soundtrack. I really loved the music, and I listened to that quite a lot. But I forgot about it almost for 30 years before I started the project, actually.
Yeah, it's so funny because if you watch Rocky Horror alone, in your house on your TV or computer, it's such an absolutely different experience than it is watching it in a theater with a crowd who's so completely into it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, if you see the film in the cinema as one layer on screen, like you experience all other films when you go out to see a movie, if you have the crowd around you, if you have the audience around you participating in the film, shouting out, throwing rice and toast and squirting around with water guns if they're still allowed to do that, having newspapers on their head. It's a totally different experience because you're more part of the film. You're part of what is going on. You're part of the experience. You're just what you're not just watching it. You're living it. It's a very immersive experience. And then if you add the shadowcast performers on top of it, the people who are mimicking the film in front of the screen and adding their own flavor to it, adding their own wits to it, adding their own fun to it. It's a completely different experience. I totally agree, and I think that third layer. It makes it a very, very interesting and fun thing to experience instead of just watching it at home on Disney Channel or whatever media you're using.
Exactly. So, did you have any idea it would take you this long? I mean, to finish this and research it. I mean,
No, no, definitely not. I mean, when we started it, it was meant very as a very, very small 30-minute feature, but we never treated it that seriously because it's not backed up by a studio and it's not commissioned by TV network or anything. We just did it on our own. We financed everything by our own, out of our own pockets. And that's one of the reasons it took so long because we had to find time to do the shooting and all the research and data, the post production in between paid jobs. So the first idea was to have it ready for the 40th anniversary, like 10 years ago, which did not work out properly. Then we wanted to have it ready 2017 or 2018, 19. Then COVID came, and
Okay.
no, everything dragged a little bit. But I think that also added to the value of the production, because we had much more time to investigate and to find people and to talk to people you won't necessarily see in a Rocky Horror documentary. I mean, there are, of course, the obvious people, which are very often in front of the camera: Pat Quinn, Barry Bostwick, Nell Campbell, and maybe Richard O'Brien and Tim Curry. But our documentary kind of lives through the people, from the information, from the interviews we did with people who are not regularly on camera and who are not regularly talking about their experience and about their thoughts of the production and Rocky Horror in particular.
Yeah, I was again. My next question was asking you about the interviews because you have some amazing interviews here with people who for whom Rocky Horror has been their life. I mean, they're so identified with. But just, I mean, what was it hard getting all those interviews? Were there people you weren't able to interview, or just talk to me about the process of finding your subjects for this?
No, it wasn't very hard actually. The first interview we did was with Sue Blaine back in 2014, the costume designer, and she was utterly charming and very, very helpful. And she gave us phone numbers, I think, from Richard O'Brien, from Richard Hartley, the composer, and Pat Quinn, who played Magenta.
Yeah.
And when we approached them, they gave us other numbers, and they encouraged us. Hey, you have to speak to her, or you have to speak to him. And so it actually it was kind of a ripple effect, like throwing a stone into the water, which creates the ripples. And it came to that extent, actually, that people were approaching us if we would be in the area again and if we would like to do an interview with them. So it wasn't very hard. It wasn't very hard to get people together. And some of them we found actually in LinkedIn, on social media. So
Yeah. This documentary is such a great chronology of Rocky Horror, on the stage, becoming a film. And what a lot of people don't remember is that, when Rocky Horror was released, it wasn't exactly, a box office sensation. It was kind of quiet. It was only later on when people began discovering it that it became a sensation. But can you sort of talk about the early days of Rocky Horror and how it took a little bit of time for people to see it and appreciate it, and then obviously become the cult sensation that it is now?
when Fox, 20th Century Fox, released it in September 1975, like exactly 50 years ago. It was a complete failure because they showed it in family theaters. There was just like a regular Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock program, and the people who saw that didn't really get it because it was quite over their head. They felt offended by Tim Curry's performance. They felt offended by the sexuality displayed on screen, and so it completely bombed. They took it off the screen, I think, within a week or two. And then they almost a year later, April 1st, 1976, they put it onto the so-called midnight screening, and it was screened only in very selected theaters and more, let's say, hipper theaters, hipper cinemas, where it was discovered by a group of people, specifically at the Waverly Theater in New York, Greenwich Village.
Mm-hmm.
And these people started to come back and back and back. They went there every Friday, I think, or every Saturday, or both days, and it became like kind of a little family, or a very tight knit community who met every weekend and started to take the film as their own. They loved it and they embraced it, and that's how actually the cult following started, because at one point they started with the shout outs, at one point they started with the audience participation, with makeup, throwing things, literally toast when Frank says a toast. And yeah, that's basically the beginning. And from there, it spread. People were visiting New York from other states, saying, "Hey, listen, guys, this is what they do in New York. Why don't we make it here?" And it became, well, kind of a viral sensation. And within a year or so, many other theaters were starting to do these audience participation. And then at one point, the whole shadow casting began, dressing up, jumping in front of the screen. First, they just performed like I would say, single songs. And I think by mid 80s or beginning of the 80s, they were performing the whole movie in front of the screen. So yeah, that's basically how it started.
That's great. Rocky Horror speaks to it's so universal, and it's obviously generational. I mean, generation after generation really fall for this and really respond to it. But it particularly has resonated within the LGBTQ community. Can you sort of talk about that?
We had a lot of people talking about us, especially the early fans. I would call them the first generation fans,
Mhm.
who said that Rocky Horror really helped them to personify themselves as gay. And when you look back at the times, it was mid 70s. Homosexuality was still illegal in some states in the United States, and where the area of the Waverly and Greenwich Village was where the Stonewall riots happened.
Yeah,
And so Rocky Horror started very early in its life to become, I wouldn't call it a safe haven, but a place to be for gay people, where they could meet other people, and started to form a community, which was at that time, at that stage, not so common to have these, as I'm of my understanding,
yeah,
to have this kind of cultural melting pots where people can go. And if you were at the time in a community, not in a big city maybe, but rather a village, and you were not like used to meet other gay people. It became like that melting pot. It became like that safe haven, the safe space where you could go and meet other people and communicate with other people, which was that time kind of hard.
yeah, yeah. Um, Again, congratulations on persevering and getting this film made, and after 11 years and getting it out there now, and having a festival run. But
Thank you very much.
so where eventually will people be able to watch this around the world? Will it be available on streaming, or where do you have distribution plans right now?
We are going to be available on digital streaming,
Okay.
pay-per-view,
Yeah.
very soon. I cannot talk about it because it's still a little bit fragile, with all the technical glitches that might happen.
Yeah.
But we'll announce it soon via our website, saneinsightandsanity.com, or via our social media channels.
That's great. I'm so happy for you. All right, Sane Inside Insanity, the phenomenon of Rocky Horror screens it out on film, at on Saturday, October 4th at 11:30 at Outfront Theater Company. It is such a great documentary. People who love Rocky Horror, and people who don't really know Rocky Horror will still enjoy this as much. Andreas, thanks for talking to you this morning. Congratulations on the film, and hopefully our paths will cross again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.